So let's start a bit about myself. I am Poor Pandey, and I am a Flutter developer and a Microsoft Student Ambassador. And as you would all know, like this event will be all about Flutter. We'll be talking about what Flutter is, what you can do with it, and how it works a little bit. We'll look into how some of its widgets work, and we'll also have a hands-on session with the Dartpad, and you can, if you all are on laptops, you can just open a new tab. At the end of the session, we'll have this session, so you can just go ahead and write code directly with me. So yeah, that's also what we are going to do in this session at the end, and this is the general structure of this presentation that I have right over here. That firstly, we'll look into some of the cross-platform application development environments like Flutter, React Native. I'll just go through them one by one, and I'll not be going too much deep into them because I will not be the right person to talk about those frameworks. Those are really cool frameworks with perks of their own. And and this session is primarily focused towards students which are like relatively new to this field and are like just about to get started with Android development or iOS development or like creating mobile applications and things like that. So this session is primarily targeted towards those kind of audiences. Uh, and I'll not be covering very advanced topics which many of us might not be familiar with. So don't worry about that. This is a beginner friendly session. And the second thing which we'll look into is introduction to application development with Flutter. Like I'll talk about how it works, what all things you can do with it, and like there are a lot of fun things you can do with it. So yeah. And the third thing will be we'll create our own first Flutter application, and I'll explain to you what's going on at the when this section arrives. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session. So you can just post your questions right now or as you feel like in the chat box. I'll at the in the Q&A section, I'll just go out there and read out all and maybe try to answer all of those. So this is how this session is going to be going forward. Now, apart from that, so let's move on to the first section, that is cross-platform application development. So when you are making applications for smartphones, like there are a lot of options to you. Like want you to know there are a lot of options. Like there you can make applications using Java, you can use Kotlin, those are considered native Android development things, and you can always use, like there are lots of things. So like I'll just give a brief about them, and then we'll move forward to the second section. So yes, the thing which I was talking about, like Java and Kotlin and Objective C and the Swift. So basically, Java and Kotlin are for Android development, like native Android development, and your Swift and Objective C is for like native iOS development. If you make write code for in Java, that code is like built for Android. Like it's perfect for Android, and it won't work in iOS or like because you have to like that. That's what native is, right? You write code once and you use it for one platform. That is what not happens in hybrid application development, or what I'm saying is cross-platform application development. Here, what happens is you write code once. All right. So you have written code in any of the cross-platform applications once, and you can use it with almost like with Android as well as iOS. Like you don't have to write separate code bases. Like you have a single code base, and it will work fine with Android or iOS. And with Flutter, like it supports Fuchsia OS as well. Like it supports a lot of things. Like it supports web and these things as well. But that's not the point here. The point is what is cross-platform application development? That is like you have to write code once and you can use it for many other platforms as well. This is what is the like core difference between native and cross-platform applications. There are some pros and cons about why you would want to prefer native sometimes, or why you would want to prefer cross-platform application development sometimes. So one of the things which I can tell is like if you want something related to like hardware, like you want all the data from sensors, you want to talk directly to the Android API or the iOS APIs, and you want to do like things that are low level in nature, like hardware stuff and like sensors collection, and you want to build your own hardware API, those kinds of things, you should definitely go to native. Like it's the best thing for that. But but we are not for that here. We are for cross-platform application development. Now, when does this thing comes into the picture? So this comes into picture when, suppose, let's say you are a small team of people, like you are 2 or 3 people at start, and you want to like build something cool, and you have an idea, or like you have a startup plan, and you just want to create some mobile application for that and just get started with that thing. So what you can do is like you can choose any of these cross-platform application development frameworks like Flutter, React Native, etc. And what they allow you is like you will write the code base once, as I'm repeating this over and over again. You can write the code base once and use the same code for Android and iOS and many more things which are there in cross-platform applications. So like this is a huge plus point for people with smaller budgets or like things like that. Uh, because like they don't have to hire some more people for Android, some other people for iOS, and like then manage those things, then manage the same UI, the icon styles, and all this. All the things can be done at once. And not to say that these are the best kind of things you can do. Like as I was telling you, like if you want to do hardware related things, you should definitely go to like native development. But if you're not like if you just want to build general applications, like maybe e-commerce applications, like you want to build your own Udemy kind of thing, like you want to build your own like normal any application, like you should just you can always prefer cross-platform applications. So here are some of the like cross-platform applications which are available. Like native script, we have React Native, we have Flutter, we have Ionic. Bit about these things like React Native. In my opinion, like this is solely my opinion, and I have seen people who generally know React JS library if in web development. They are already in web development, and then they want to like learn the Android development, and they don't want to do it with Java or Kotlin. So what they usually do is they go with React Native because it uses some of the same concepts in React Native as React JS, and it is slightly easier for those people to get into it. So yeah, I've seen people do this all the time. And then there is Native Script. Native Script is also a cross-platform application development framework, which is not as quite popular as Flutter, React Native, or Ionic, but yes, it exists. It uses JavaScript for like as its primary language. Like React Native also uses JavaScript. I think Ionic also uses JavaScript. But this Flutter over here, this is what we are here for. This Flutter uses Dart. Dart is a like special language that is created by Google back in 2010. Like it was created way back in last decade, and it's specifically made for like UI rendering and like working with UIs. It's specifically made for UI doing UI things, and it enables a lot of the features in Flutter like hot reloading and like those kinds of stateful reloading, the what we call in Flutter. And you might not understand these things right now, but just keep these in mind. Like you may hear them here and there, and you might wonder like what these things are. So yeah, I'm telling you these things exist, and uh, you should like definitely look into these and write hello world programs in each one of those if you like, and just choose your own framework. Like I'm not saying to you to do बिल्कुल मतलब फ्लटर के साथ जाओ. I am not saying that. You can choose your framework as you need. Like see your requirements, then choose your framework. All right, that's what I'm trying to make the point over here. So now moving on to the next section, getting started with Flutter. Yeah, so I am really excited about this part, and this is the official website for this flutter.dev. This is flutter.dev actually. So first thing which you will ask is like, what is Flutter? Like as I was talking about, it's Flutter is Google's UI toolkit for building beautiful natively compiled applications for web, mobile, desktop from a single code base. Like I didn't mention these things, but yes, now it's the time. For mobile, like Android and iOS. For web, like you can create websites from with Flutter, and you can as well create desktop applications from Flutter as well. Like imagine this, like it really blows up my mind, like how cool this thing is. Like you are writing your code once, you are using the same code in Android, in React, in iOS, and in web as well as in desktop. Like these are completely separate things in their own, like, and have their own like kind of things. So but Flutter allows you to do that. And yes, it's made by Google. It's all open source. Like you can go to the GitHub link, GitHub of you can search GitHub Flutter on Google and go to the GitHub repo. Like it's really in work in progress, and like it's a really popular thing that is going on right now. Like you can go to Google Trends and search for the graphs, and you will find that like all these platforms which I was telling you about a couple of slides back, Like all of these are like really popular frameworks for cross-platform application development over the past few years. Like Flutter has been released in 2017 and React Native in like way earlier than that. I think in 2012 or 2013, something about that. I'm not sure about that, but that's the thing which I'm talking about right now. And yes, so what the previous slide was trying to say was you can make apps for Android, iOS, web, and desktop just with one framework, with one language, with single code base. Like this example, which you are seeing over here, is actually New York Times puzzle game which they have used built with Flutter. Like this is officially showcased on Flutter's website as well. We'll be going to that in a minute. So I hope you are getting the point here. Like write your code once and use that same code base for creating applications in iOS, Android, web, as well as desktop. Regardless of whatever like you might have your screen sizes and all those kinds of things, Flutter has taken care of all these things, and it's a really cool framework in my opinion in general. So yeah, one more thing which I'd like to tell you over here, like Flutter uses its own 3D rendering engine, like which is 3D or 2D rendering engine, which is Kia, SKIA. Flutter uses its own graphics engine, that is Kia. That's why like it's in control of everything. Like each pixel on the screen, Flutter is controlling that. Okay, you can control that through your code because of that powerful graphics engine that Flutter is using. Now, let me talk about who is using Flutter. Like, yeah, it's a cool framework. We know it. Like, I'm telling you from like past 5 minutes or something. So, like, who is using Flutter in real time, in real world? Okay. I don't know if you have heard about this app called Reflectly. It's a journaling app, which looks super neat and it's like really well built and it's really cool. You should. I will recommend you try this application out. It will help you like track your mood and log journals and do all those kinds of things. And it look at its UI, like look at its performance. It's fab. It's fabulous. Okay? So you can look at it, it's Reflectly, and this is many of you might not know this, but so you can just search it on Play Store, it's there. And the second big name I like to talk about here is, of course, your Dream 11. Dream 11's application use Flutter as its application development framework. And as being Indians, we have all might have seen like ads of this thing, and it's huge right now. And it's cool that they have built their application using Flutter. And where did I get all this data from? Like, let me just take you to this. For more, let's go to the Flutter showcase. All right. So let me just get out from this presentation, and then we will go to the Flutter showcase website. Here I am on. You can just search on Google. That is Flutter. Let me just go to google.com first. Google.com. Yeah, so you can just search over here, Flutter Showcase, and click on this link that is first over here. So yeah, Flutter is also like really popular in China. Like you would know Tencent, right? The company behind all the Chinese games that we all are fans of. So yeah, Tencent uses Flutter as its application development framework, like New York Times, Square, Google Assistant. And there are like lots of companies listed over here, eBay, BMW, NU Bank, and like there are huge players in these things. And like Google Ads, the entire application is built with Flutter. Stadia, I don't know if you have heard of this, like it's a new gaming platform from Google and Alibaba Group, Baidu, like all the Dream 11, ByteDance, Hamiltonian, and like you can just explore this thing on your own. I'll just post these links at the end of the session in the chat box. You can just explore these things on your own. It's really huge. Like the point I'm trying to make is like, and even Google Pay, like you might have used Google Pay. It has been rewritten in Flutter recently in last September only. So it has been rewritten in Flutter. So that's really cool to hear about for me. And if I like, just go back to this presentation and start the slideshow again. So yeah, a lot of big companies are using Flutter, and it's really cool to like have these many people over Flutter community. And one more thing, like Flutter has a huge community. Like you can go to their GitHub and look at the issues and the current pull requests that are going on. You will find a ton of articles. Like I've seen lot of articles and YouTube videos on Flutter recently, because like a lot of people are realizing that Flutter is a really cool framework and they should really like learn it, and they're learning it and they're making tutorials out of it, and that's really cool, and they're doing really great job. So you can just search it up on YouTube or anywhere you want. It's really like going on right now. So now let's talk about how does Flutter work. So basically, it's Flutter is all about widgets. All right. So what are widgets? Like if you are not from the Flutter world, you might not know what widgets are or what I am meaning by widgets. So widgets are nothing but basically everything you see on the screen in a Flutter application is a widget. Like if you see text on the screen, it's a widget. If you see image on the screen, it's a widget. If you see like anything on the screen of an application built with Flutter, it's a widget. Like that's what this meme says. I see widgets everywhere. And that is how Flutter is working at a very broad level. There are a lot of details which I can discuss over here, but since I'm keeping this at a beginner's level, and I'll not be going into too much details. Like you can always go to the Flutter documentation to learn exactly how these things work. Like they have great docs, Flutter docs. Actually, let me just take you there and show you Flutter docs. You can just open up Flutter. Flutter.dev. This is the official website. You can just go to this docs, and they have each and everything explained over here in a really nice way. Like if I can just go to this widget catalog, and let's say where should we go next? We can basically let's start with the basics, like basic widgets. There are basic widgets, app bar. Let's go with app bar. So it explains each and everything, like how it's working, leading, title, actions, everything it's explaining over it. And the best part about this thing is like you can run your code in real time. Like this is the real time version of AppBar, and its code is right in like I'm just hovering over it right now. So I can just change it, and it will change it in real time, and it's really cool to have such kind of feature. And you can always go to Flutter Docs for if you are like some advanced person and using and you are in this event. So you can always go to Flutter Docs, and that's a really cool thing. Now, if I'll move on from this. So yeah, this is the application that I built. Like it's called Quinzo. So what it basically does is like if you are any aspirant of like examinations, like if you are preparing for JEE competitive exams like JEE mains or advanced or UPSC, SSC, etc., 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 you can come to our application, like read news, current articles, and uh, give queries in real time, and like all these features which we have integrated, I have integrated, like and all these beautiful looking graphs and all these things, login screens and all. Like this application has been completely built in Flutter, and it works really well. It's not currently launched on Play Store. I have it on my system. Uh, but this is something like which I wanted to show over here because we are talking about widgets. That's why I brought this up. And now let's take some example of like let's see this screen. So if I like to tell you about widgets with this snippet of the screen that I have. So what you can basically see is this image which you are seeing in the background is a widget. On top of it, there is another widget, this image, and inside of this there is another widget, the two widgets that are text which are in a column. So like everything in Flutter is a widget. Like this icons you see here, it's a widget. The text you are seeing here, it's a widget. The icon buttons you are seeing here, it's a widget. Everything in Flutter is a widget. ठीक है? If you are learning Flutter, like ये चीज आपको पता ही होना चाहिए. Everything in Flutter is a widget. Like आप जो भी करोगे आप widget से दूर नहीं भाग पाओगे. ठीक है? And yeah, so this is an example over here, like how this is a relatively complex example as what I was talking about previously. So what is happening over here is if I would like to explain is like if you can see this screen, uh, this is a login screen. Once you enter your details, you hit enter. You go to another widget tree which has all these details, and once you add, it sends the data to this like backend or backend in you call Flutter, and you can just go to another screens and like I should not probably go into too much details right over here, but you can see structure about how widget tree looks of this thing. It's a bit more complex in real, but it's a nice simplification and a GIF. So that's why I put this up. And yes, a really cool thing with Flutter you can do is like you can do animations. Every one of us likes animations and how like good things look when they are animated, if done properly, of course. So yes, Flutter has a library called Rive, R-I-V-E. It's currently in beta, but it's like really going on and like it's really creating some really good examples. And this is a video about that over here. Like if you are seeing this all these things are being rendered will be rendered on your smartphone. Like if you open this application, it will work flawlessly, and it works actually works flawlessly. And you can create all these animations. I don't know if you have used something like Adobe Animate or something like that, but you will find this a little bit similar to that. Like if you are able to see this, like here are keyframes which you can make on the Flutter on the Rive app. It's again a website which we can go to. Like you can create all these graphics and all these things, import them into Rive, create all these animations, and then export this entire animation to Flutter and control this animation with Flutter, like using code. So this is what is happening over here. Like it's really wonderful. Like if you go ahead and go ahead to this website. Uh, let's go to the next slide. Like here are some more examples from the official website of Rive. Like it's really cool, like animations and stuff. Like I really like this. So let me just go to this Rive website, which I'm talking about. So on Google, let me search Rive Flutter. And if I search that, the first website that comes up is rive.app. So yeah, this is the website. Like you can find all these examples which I've taken from here. Like there are also tutorials, lot of tutorials coming over here, and like you can do really cool things with this animations, and you can like put all these things together into Flutter. You in a Flutter application. Like you can also do game development in Flutter. Like that's a completely different thing, and but you can do that. Like you can create animations like these. If you would have seen like some such animations, like that's how you can make them in Flutter. All right. And meshes and vertex deformation, inverse kinematics. If you are like animation geek, you might understand these things. I'm not, but so yeah. And you can like animate these things frame by frame. I will not be like doing actually animating this thing because that would be a completely another session. Uh, but I just wanted to show you this that you can do this. Okay, it's there for you if you want to do that kind of thing. And like if I continue from here. Just sorry about that. I'll have to reopen this PowerPoint application. It just went away. So yeah, where were we? Like we're on this slide, and the next slide is it. And yes, of course, this is not all like there are a lot of Flutter. Like it's if you will go into UI designing with Flutter, like it's the best thing you can do. Like for UI designing, like there are other frameworks as well. You can also use React Native. You can also use Ionic. You can also use Native Script. Or if you want, like you can also go with native development. But like all these things are really cool, and Flutter is like one of them. Like if I'd like to tell you, like Flutter does all these things at a 60 FPS speed. Okay, so like everything on the application which you will be, make in Flutter will be rendered in your application at 60 FPS. Like if you're a gaming geek, you know like 60 FPS is cool. Like it's cool. So now we are in the like third section of our session, that is let's code an application with let's code a Flutter application live. All right. So and if you are on a browser or a laptop, like if you are on laptop, then only you would be able to do this. But if you're on laptop, you can just visit this site, that is dartpad.dev. All right, dartpad.dev. This is the website I'm talking about, and I'll be opening this just in a minute. Like if you're reading this or something, like if you're on a laptop, you can open this website right now, and I'll be coding an application, simple application, Hello World application in Flutter. And if you want, like you can do it with me live in this session. So that's what I'm trying to do over here. So if you are ready, like I'm going to this Google. Let's go to Google. And let's open search for Dartpad. So here is this site Dartpad. You can do this thing on your own laptop right now. Like I'll be coding it live and explaining the thing to you. So you can just write that code or like tweak it a little bit here and there and do that kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, this is Dartpad. So it basically lets you write code in Dart and run it in real time. So this is just simple thing. So let's go to the samples and let's go to let's see an example called sunflower. Like it's cool. So yes, all this code has been written over here. Like you don't have to worry about this right now. If I'll just run it. So this is a complete Flutter application which I'm running over here. Like this is a complete Flutter application being running on this on your browser. Like you can do it right now. Just go to dartpad.dev and select a sample and like you can just run it right now. Like you don't need to install any Flutter SDK, do anything like that. Like it's really cool to like watch this. And there are some other examples as well. Like this is the counter example which you will get when you will first install Flutter SDK. If you decide to do that, like if you are already like familiar with Flutter, you will know what this is. Like you would have seen this couple of times. But anyways, so yeah, let me just go ahead and delete all this code that is here. And it will result in some errors. Don't worry about that. Yeah, so let me just delete a lot of things from here. So we'll be building a really simple Flutter application. And if you can see the code right over here, let me just run this thing. Error compiling in JavaScript and something happens. All right, we need a scaffold for this thing and I deleted a little bit too much. And just I can just add it right now. So yes, let's just keep it aside for a second and look at this thing. What is this? Like it's importing a library from Flutter that is material.dart, import package, this thing, and import this library. Like if I can just write this command and I'll just share it on the announcements in the Teams, make an announcement. And this is the first thing I'm talking about right now. And I can actually share this code that I'm writing with you right now on GitHub link, or I can create a GitHub gist out of this and send it to send the link later on. So yes, you just need to import this library. And if you're somewhat familiar with, I would say C++ kind of languages, so you would know like this main function. All right. So it's the main function that it's the first function that this thing calls, and your entire application will be based on this. So you don't need to understand this thing right now. If you are doing it right now, you can just copy paste this thing which I have over here. You don't need to understand these things right now because once you get into these things, like it will be really simple for you. What it's just saying is like once the program is started, run this function runup, which is again an inbuilt function in which we are passing this class as an argument. And this class is actually a widget, like we are writing our own widget. So inside this, we have things like this. If you're doing this right now, you can just exactly copy paste the same things because you are just trying it out for the first time. And you can just do that. So let me just write here scaffold, scaffold, and opening parentheses and closing parentheses, and pass in an argument like body. And let's give it a text and say hi if this thing is done. Now let's hit enter. Again, what is happening? I don't know what is happening. So let me just copy. I've actually written this thing over here, but is it something with my browser? Like I'm wondering about. Why is it saying error compiling in JavaScript? I don't know if it's working for you. Is this thing working? Let's do this 156. Yeah, it's working. Like I don't know if there is some issue with this particular thing. So let me just go ahead and explain this thing only. So yeah, it's the exact same code with a little bit more code. So let me just remove this thing for now and run this thing again and copy this thing which is over here. We can copy this, cut this. Okay, so this is the exact same thing which we are on like a minute before. Okay, on the another screen, but I don't know what happened there. So now I'm pasting another some code that is scaffold, and in a body we are passing center, container, colors dot green, and we are defining the height and width of this thing, which are 300 and 300, and we are giving it as a child a center and text hello world. That is the entire thing which is happening over here. Like if you are writing it with me, like you can just exactly copy the same thing and it will work very fine for you. We can like now if I like to add like if I what if I wanted to add an app bar, like let's add an app bar right over here and app bar. So what we need to do is we need to pass a app bar instance and pass it a title like and a text, and let's call it Flutter 101 getting started, and let's run this thing. Expected to find this thing over right. You need a comma right over here. Like it's really cool. It's saying that I needed a comma, and once I'm done with that, so yeah, I think like there is some issue with something over in my environment right over here, because it's again showing the same thing. But if you're doing this, it will work perfectly fine for you. Like as I've checked it already, and it's nothing complicated going on here. Like it's all about widgets, material app, scaffold, app bar, center. These all are widgets. Like my app is also a widget. Like material app is also a widget. Scaffold is also a widget. Everything is a widget. So I'll just create a GitHub gist out of this and send the link to the in the description or something in the chat box later on. So this was like about getting started with Flutter, and maybe if you're writing this, like you will get this thing pretty easily. It's not that difficult to start with, and if you want to install this thing, you can just go to flutter.dev, and you can just click get started. Like Flutter documentation is really awesome. Okay, we have for Windows, for Mac OS, for Linux, for Chrome OS, like wherever you are, Flutter has you covered. Like I'm on Windows, like let's go to Windows, and then system requirements, like if you it will give you a Flutter SDK to download, and you would need to follow all these things. Like it's exactly, and it tells you precisely what you need to do. It even has a section for VS Code and Android Studio. If you are not, if you don't want to like do it with Android Studio, you can do it with VS Code as well. And for now, like let me just go back to this presentation, and I can actually go ahead and start show you some of my applications, but I don't think like my machine will be able to support that much kind of pressure right now, because I'm also live streaming on this thing. Uh, so that might not work out very well. So, but you can try it out on your own. Like it's really cool to start with. And if I would like to give you a resource about on this, like there are Google Code Labs. If I can get those things right now. Uh, Flutter Code Labs. These are these are code labs. If you don't know about code labs, like what they do is they guide you through the entire project. Like they'll make you make an entire project, and you can like select these as your go-to for starting out with Flutter. Like write your first application, part one, part two, Flutter on web, building beautiful UIs with a Flutter, these things, designing a UI. Like it explains all these kinds of things. And like if you want to get started with this thing, I'll like definitely recommend this, trying you this out. Otherwise, there are like tons of resources on the internet, like lots of resources on YouTube, lots of resources on Udemy, lots of courses from here and there. There is just a lot of stuff like which is going on with Flutter right now. And if I can just go to like GitHub repo. Of Flutter, you can see it's really active. Like there are like lots of issues and lots of pull requests being there are there, like, and changes are done in every like even yesterday, like changes are done yesterday. So like it's really active, and like it's really cool to work with it. Like there are a lot of details given over here, like ARM34, ARM64. I don't know if you're familiar with these things, but there are a lot of documentation stuff given with Flutter. You can try it out, and you should like definitely check these things if you are trying to get started with Flutter. And I think like that was about my time. And yeah, so basically we are in our Q&A section right now. So like I have covered all these animations which you can do with Flutter, and you can check the rive.app site. I'll just link it right now. And there are a lot of things to which you can do. Like there's Dream 11, like there's Reflectly, there are all lots and lots of things. And there are also some advanced things which I did not cover, like how the widget tree works, how the no, not the dartpad, actually the dev tools work. And I'm not showing you the actual application on my system because I don't know my system might crash because it's really heavy for anything to work. So yeah, let me just go through your comments and read some of those. Yeah, so Ankur Gupta is asking like, are there any cons of using cross-platform applications? So yeah, this is a good question. Like, let me just publish this thing. And if you have heard this thing, all right. So, are there any cons of using cross-platform applications? So, if I talk about it, the cons, like the thing which you get in native, like if you are listening to me right now, Ankur, the thing which you get in native is like you are more close to the hardware. You can like always get all the data from the sensors, do all those kinds of things, and native will always give you a better performance than any, not just about Flutter, but any cross-platform application. Like performance-wise, native will be always the best because it's native. It's specifically written for that thing, and there will be a little bit of performance issue, but you would not notice that. But we as like normal people, normal users, we would never notice that performance difference. Like it's really minute, and but it's there. Like these are the only like major cons I would say of using cross-platform applications. Uh, Otherwise, there are not a lot of cons with these things. Like these things work perfectly, but the only thing here is like it will be a little bit slow, performance heavy, like, while relating to this native. But you will not know the difference. Like a normal user will never be able to tell that this was fast or this was it. It's not comparable. Like it's not that much comparable. Okay, and it really depends on what kind of application you are building. So I think I that would have answered your question, Ankur. And so Suyesh is asking like how hard it is to how hard it is to as compared to C++. So if you already know C++, like this will not be really hard. Like this will you will just look at it and it will like really work out for you. Like if I can just write some code over here with Dart, like it's really simple. Like it's really relatable to C++ and JavaScript. Like if you are from JavaScript world, you will also find Dart very simple to adapt into. So it's a little bit easier than C++, I would say, because in C++ there are a lot of things which C++ does not provide as it in the standard libraries. STL does that in C++, but and actually let me tell you one thing over here. Like if I can show you this VS Code, I'll not be running the code here because that would be too much, I think. And if I'll just open this code over here, some Flutter project I have right over here. So if I can go into any of these things, like you will never find in Flutter, you will never find that you are writing for loops, you are writing while loops. It's rare, like it's rare. You will have use cases for that, but it's mostly about classes and objects. Like if you're developing in Flutter, like it's mostly about classes and objects. Like you'll always find classes, you will always find classes inheriting from another classes. It's mostly about classes and the concepts of OOPM, like object-oriented programming is must. Like if you don't know it, you can learn it along the way, but it's a relatively easier from C++. Like in my opinion, it's totally my opinion. So I hope that answered your questions, Suyesh. And if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, I'm sorry about that. And someone is asking how much knowledge needed to start with Flutter. Yeah, so I would say you do not need a lot of knowledge about coding to get started with Flutter because like you can just follow up a course and it will explain you everything. Like you can always go to these documentations and all to visit all these things. And but if you are a bit familiar with any of language, like let it be Python, let it be Java, let it be any of the languages, and you generally know like how programming languages are, like how they work in general, like a general understanding about programming, you will not find it like really tough to get into Flutter. So not a lot of programming language is required, but if you are a bit familiar with it, it would be a little bit easier for you to get into this. Otherwise also like it's not really tough. It's not really tough. Like what gets really tough is like if you are trying to do it with Java or Kotlin. Like I have not tried those things on my own, but I have heard like it's relatively tougher than going with any of these cross-platform or Flutter applications. I hope this answers your question. Another question I have is, would you recommend any course on Flutter? I have personally taken this course. Like if I should tell you about myself, what I have done. So I have taken a course from Udemy. Like in my opinion, like Udemy does not have the best courses all the time, but this course was really fantastic by this guy called uh, he's a German guy, I think, but I don't know. So I took a course from Udemy, and I'm not like sponsoring that or anything. But you can find a ton of resources on YouTube as well. Like there are really good courses on YouTube as well. Like that was my choice to go with Udemy. But you can just search for Flutter tutorials, and you will find a bunch of tutorials. Like there is Net Ninja, there is MTech Viral. If you don't know about MTech Viral, like he's an Indian guy. Like बहुत ही सही बंदा है वो. So you can take his course, and then there are lots of courses with you can go with Flutter. Like there is also a course with Udacity. You can try it out. And as I was telling you about the Google Code Labs thing, so there is also the official documentation in way of getting into Flutter that the Flutter docs provide you with. And then there is also this Flutter channel that is on YouTube, which is really cool. Like it publishes a lot of content, and there are a lot of things that are being coming out from this channel. Like there are you can just visit this channel, and if I like to tell you some interesting things about this, you can watch the boring Flutter development show. Like it's boring because like they really get into some technical things and really tell you how they work, like in Flutter. So hence they have named it the boring Flutter development show. So you can watch that as well. Like go to this channel, and there is also a stories section in Flutter where they feature all the small teams and startups that are using for Flutter and have achieved something and something sort of that like that. So there is also a story done on Dream 11, Flutter Dream 11. If I would like to search it here. Yeah, so there is a developer story for Dream 11 as well. Like they did it. So I don't know if you can hear the voice right now from this, but they have this really cool channel that is official, like official Flutter channel. You can there is a lot of content about this as I'm telling you about this. You can just watch this thing on your own. Uh, I hope this answers your question somewhat, because like it would be like really my opinion to like choose some course over other, because like I chose that course. You can choose any of the courses, all right? So there are a lot of resources again. Would you recommend? Yeah, this was Dart is tough or easy. Like it depends. If you know a little bit of any programming language, I would say Dart will not be really tough to get into. Like it will not be really tough. All right. So Flutter versus Xamarin. Like yeah. So I do not know much about Xamarin. So like I cannot compare it with Xamarin. I have not really worked with Xamarin, or like I do not have many acquaintances with Xamarin who are working with, but it's again a really popular framework. Like, but I'm really not the right person to compare Flutter with Xamarin over here. USB debugging is good, or using emulator. Like, it depends on like what you are trying to do. If I'm getting your question right, like you are asking, you should use it with your real device, or you should use emulator. Like, it really depends on you. Like, let me tell you about myself. What I did was like, firstly, when I was getting started with this Flutter, so I did not had a laptop, a machine with really high space performance or something like that. So what I had to do was like, it was a 4 gigs RAM machine and a dual core processor. Okay, so if you get how old dual core processors are, so what I did was I just set up VS Code with Flutter, and yeah, I have just closed VS Code, so yeah, it's not visible. So yes, I'll set up VS Code with Flutter, and I used USB debugging. Like, I use my physical device with like developer mode enabled. So I've learned that way, like learned it that way. Like, now I've upgraded my system, so like I can use emulators as well. Both work perfectly fine. Like, they're exactly the same. They work exactly the same. One thing which you get with the USB debugging is like, you get to release your applications. Like, you can build a release application. So release applications are very much optimized and very much size efficient in terms of like size, of course, size. So yes, I hope this answers your question. How much time will it take to learn Flutter? Like, if I'd like to talk about myself, like it took about 1 month to get familiar with how things are getting structured, how things are working in general. And I was doing like 1 or 2 or 3 hours per day, like that's so like in 1 month of time you'll have fair enough confidence to like start your own new project and dive into all these things. But I think like you should give 1 month, like about a month to this thing, and you will get good at it eventually. So yes, can you share some Flutter projects or GitHub link as you said earlier? All right. Let me just go to this my GitHub repo if you are interested in that. github.com/apurvapande0/ this thing. I am not really good at like writing readmes and all those things, so you will not find really good written readmes in my projects. But these are the projects that I have built with Flutter, and like all the things, other things which I keep doing here and there. So like, this is my GitHub repo. Like, you can definitely check it out. Again, I'm like not showing you the exact VS Code thing because like I don't know what my system might crash. I'm like worrying about that. So like, I'll just post this thing on chat. If you are like interested in looking into it, you can definitely go and see about it. And you can contact me anytime. Like we have our own website, and we all have a like contact info there as well. You can just contact us anywhere, anytime you want. Make an announcement, and here it is. Like, here it is my GitHub repo. You can just look into it, and you can just get to me anytime you want. Feel free to do that. And do we have any more questions over here? So yes, if you are attending this, you will if you are I'm seeing like around 30 to 32 people right now with me live in this event. So you all can go to this feedback form link which we are sharing, and our certificate will be provided to you. All those people, we have recorded your attendance from our end as well, and you can always go to this. You have to fill this form in order to get your certificates. We'll be mailing you the certificates the similar way we mailed all the links to you. Yeah, so we'll be providing certificates that will be Microsoft Learn certificates, which will basically say that like you have attended this workshop successfully, and blah blah blah, and you will definitely get that. So just go to this feedback form link that is right over here. Like, let me just open this thing and actually have a look. You can just contact us anytime. Like, feel free to contact us. Like, we are always ready to like help anyone. Like, yeah. So this is a really like nice form which my friend Adarsh has made. So yeah, all this event that we conducted, that is going on right now. That is all because of like the entire website that we have built for organizing events. So that Adarsh, my friend Adarsh, he built this entire site within a week. Like he did all the UI parts, all the backend parts, all the like event management parts. I'm not really well with this technology that he used is WordPress, but he did it like really well. Like I also like Ritik and Sanskar, they also helped me like market all these things and all. So I'm really thankful to these people for helping me organize this event. And do everyone has the link, like feedback link? Everyone has the feedback link, I think. Are there any more questions? Like, can you share your Quinzo app in GitHub? Yeah, sure. I've given the GitHub link. Like, if I'll just, if you want, like, I can share you the exact repo which Quinzo is on. I think. Let me just go to this Code Smash, Flutter Portfolio, Basic Quinzo app Flutter. Like, if you didn't got it by now, I am just sharing this link to you. Actually, if you are trying to compile, so yeah, just a second, I'm getting back to you, Pranjal. Our session is basically ended right now. You can just go to Flutter, this feedback form link that we have given. You can fill that form and you will get your certificates by mail. If you don't get your certificate by tonight, you will definitely get those. We'll make sure you get them. And if you don't, like, you can just ping us anytime. Like all our information is available at pinedg.codes. You can just go over there, and the session is very much ended. So if you do not want to stick around for the Q&A session, you can just leave right now. So, and a very thank you for everyone to join in. And it was a really good session, I think. And I hope you all learned something new today. So we are planning to do some more events on this based on your feedback. Like we'll plan more events ahead. So you can like attend those if you want, like if they match your interest or something like that. So yeah, thank you very much for attending this session. Now back to our Q&A session. Like, can you share the app for Quinzo? Like, yeah, I should probably share this to you. Send and publish. Okay. So yeah, Suyesh is asking Java versus Flutter for development. As I covered it earlier in this section, like Java, I'm not very well versed with Java and how Java works, but some things which I have seen throughout the time is like it's relatively difficult to get into Java or Kotlin as compared to Flutter. Like if you are trying to do some like mostly hardware related things and things which require a lot of processing to be done on your device and like those kinds of things, you should definitely go with Java. Like it's the go-to solution for you. But as I told you, I shared an example. Like if you are like just want to build applications, beautiful looking applications, and you want them to work flawlessly across iOS, Android, web, or desktop, anything you want, you should definitely go with Flutter. And again, if you have like specific requirements about some hardware related things, you can just go with Java. So are there any more questions over here? Yeah, what should be the computer specification for starting out with Flutter? So yeah, as I was telling you, I started out with a system that had relatively lower specifications. That was like 4 gigs of RAM and dual core processor. But what is recommended is at least 8 gigs of RAM and an i5 processor to get started with Flutter or Android development in general, because you will use Android emulator or because that's a heavy thing. It is recommended that you use at least 8 gigs of RAM and i5 processor. So yeah, I've shared the GitHub link. Hopefully this answers your question. You can always do it in lower spec machines, but the experience will not be that good, like because it's definitely going to be slow. But what my recommendations are, like 8 gigs of RAM and i5 will work you flawlessly. Like it works flawlessly. Like my machine specs are these same. And I don't think we have more questions over here. Yeah, and let me just publish these things. If you have any more questions, like you can ask me right now. Like it's totally yours. Like if you like to ask something right now. I think I have answered all the questions. Like if I'm कुछ भूल रहा हूँ तो like I don't know. There was a question related to ML. I just skipped that one. Like where it is. Like it's in published. Yeah, do application developer or do you know website, AI, ML, anything? Are you a application developer or you know website AI? Yeah, so if you're asking about me, like I've worked with I can create my own backend using Django. Like that is what we have done in Quinzo application. So like if I'd like to talk about the Quinzo application, it's an application built in Flutter. All its backend has been done in Django. Like there is another GitHub repo for that, not in my account. Like it's my friend did it, but yeah. So I can basically do my own backend and I develop applications and web applications basically. And I'm not too much into AI, ML or anything like that. I definitely want to get into those fields, but I'm right now not into AI or ML. I'm more targeting right now competitive aspects of programming. But if you are like just starting out, you are in first year, you can definitely go out with these things and the things are open to you right away. This session, I just primarily focus this session about like you should know what all the options you have. Like you have a ton of options, and it's not like that you get into something and then you realize that this was not the best thing for me. So like I've just wanted to make sure that each of the people who are here, like they should be aware of like what all things are there and how these things work. And yeah, I hope that this answers your question. And do we have any more questions right now? Can I do it with Ryzen 3 processor? Uh, I'm not very sure about Ryzen or Ryzen series. Like I have heard about Ryzen 5, like it's a really good processor, but I'm not sure about Ryzen 3. You can at least try it out. Like you can at least try it out. Like I'm telling you, like if you are a Ryzen fan, you would definitely know how comparable it is to like Intel. So I am telling you my part. I've learned Flutter in a dual core processor and 4 gigs of RAM. So if that is comparable to you in somehow like Intel and Ryzen, like there are a lot of comparison. I do not know much about them. So you can just look it about that way. Like I've done it that way. It's not the best experience you can get, but it's the if you have it like right now, what else you can do? Like you can just upgrade your setup or get started like that. So Pranjal is asking Laravel versus I know Flutter and Django, and I'm looking to forward into AI ML. Yeah, that's really cool. Like you know Flutter and Django already. So yeah, that's really cool. You're looking forward to AI and ML. Like I'll not be the best person to talk about AI and ML here because as I was telling you, it's not the field which I have touched right now. So I'll not be the best person, but what I've heard is like I can tell you what I've heard about this. Uh, Let me just go to this. There are tons of resources about AI/ML as well. Like there is this fantastic course from Applied AI. It's a paid one, but yes, it's fantastic. Like it's really well explained. Like I've heard this feedback about from people who actually enrolled in this course. It's a really good course on AI ML, like, and it covers a lot of things. Like I've done the free sections from here, and like it's a really good thing to do. And there are like I'm sure like there are like tons of resources about AI ML. And again, I'm not the best person to talk about AI ML as I have not like gone into those fields right now. So that was about it. Yeah, Laravel versus Django. Yeah, so again, like I have not specifically worked with Laravel, but I worked with Django. So like, so again, I cannot do the comparison over here. Like Adarsh, if Adarsh would be here, like he would be able to tell you the difference between Laravel because he is a Laravel developer and he made this entire website. So like, I'll not be the best person again to like answer this question about Laravel and Django. Like Django is really cool. Like it's cool. So yeah, that was about from my side. What I can give you, what I know, what all things I know. So I think like that's enough for today. Like, and let me make this announcement. Make sure to fill the feedback form to receive certificates. And that was about it from my side. Like if there are not any more questions left. Oh yeah, thank you very much for like asking such good questions as well. Like I'm really glad to know that there are other people as well like doing the same kinds of thing that I'm doing. Like so yeah, it was good. And yes, you all can just leave the session. It's over. Like if you do not have any more questions, it's over. And feel free to reach out to me anytime from our website. That is like, let me just link it down here. Uh, that is this website over here. Uh, this one. We have all our contact information on this website. We have all the contact information on this website. You can like reach out to us anytime you want. We have our LinkedIn accounts and all these things. Like if you want to reach out anytime, like and you can always like go to this these developer stories or the Flutter official channel. Like it has a lot of great content about this, and there are also like Flutter keynotes, which Flutter interact sessions, which keep happening, and one is in March. Like if you're interested, one is in this March, and they're planning to announce something big this time, I think. Last time they announced Flutter for Web, and it's in beta right now. So last time they announced this Flutter Web, and it's really cool to have that thing from that on at that time on. Yeah, thank you very much, Ritik. I'm really glad that you enjoyed the session and learned something new maybe. So again, like this session was primarily targeted to our newer audiences, which are getting into things right now, getting into these fields, and that's about it. I don't see any more questions coming. So if you all understood, like if that certificate form has to be filled, like about the feedback form, you can just leave the session, or if there is any question, you can like just ask it. Or I'm ending this event in like 2 minutes. I'm ending this event in 2 minutes. If you have any question, you can like post it right now. Yeah, thank you, Rajat. Yeah, you are welcome. Yeah, published comments and yeah, we will be hosting more sessions in upcoming weeks. We are planning this thing. That's why we built our own like website for this thing. We didn't wanted to use like someone else's website for this task. Like, भाई कर सकते हो तो कर ले रहा है क्या है like बना ही दे रहे हैं website अपनी. So that's why we went about this own website, our own website. We took this domain and all, setup hosting and all those kinds of things. Again, a big thanks to like Adarsh Kushwaha for like managing all these things, sending all the emails and all these things, doing all those things. Ritik Chaurasia and Sanskar Mishra for like marketing about all these things, getting the information to you, and really talking to you people. I was not very much involved in that part. A big thank you to those people as well. And I'm just, if there are no more questions, I'm just ending this meeting in a minute. So yeah, I think I should end the session now. Again, a very, very thank you for attending this session. And I really hope you learned something new. And see you next time, maybe. Maybe you can attend more sessions and we'll do more sessions. So yeah, see you next time. Okay, so bye-bye in this session. And